Hey go guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to show you guys how to cut some beef oxtail. Beef oxtail has gotten really popular over the years, especially with Caribbean restaurants, because it's very expensive. And pretty much this is what a whole oxtail look like. And it's usually pretty much like this with the added part right here. So pretty much that's what a whole oxtail will look like. What I did, I split these down the middle to show you what inside of the oxtail looks like. So as you can see, those are the bones. In between here, it's like cartilage. That's where you will cut in between these joints, these little joints right here. All right, so pretty much oxtail is gonna be very fatty. So you want to take your knife, always have a sharp knife, and you're gonna be able to peel as much fat out of the oxtail as possible. So a lot of times you're really not gonna get to see it like this, because a lot of time when you see it, it's already cut up in trays. So as I was saying, you want to put your knife, even if it's the whole thing, you're still gonna be able to see it. But I wanted to show it like this. And when you get your oxtail, you cut them like this, you'll get more meat. There you go. So that's how you guys are used to seeing oxtails, like this in the stores. But in actuality, it's a whole long tail, like how this one is. So that's how it looks in the store. And once again, even if I were able to flip it over, I'll still be able to find the joints and go in between the joints. Because you could just tell after cutting it for so long, you could just pretty basically tell where it is for the most part. Sometimes you miss. For the most part, you can really tell where it's located, right in between the joints. You want to do a little minor paring, take a little bit of the fat off, not too much. And it's always going to be very fatty, but some people like the fat, some don't. All depends on what you're looking for. So there you go. And this is more of from the part of the tails. A lot of people always like to get the end pieces. Because a lot of people, obviously when you're feeding a lot of people, you want to get more of the small ones. So a lot of people always go for the tail end. And as you see, we're getting a good amount of fat off of it. So I think you might have to go back through and just do like light paring, just to get some of it off. We're gonna cut this one. So it's, I mean, a lot of times you go to the grocery store, the funny thing is though, the sliced one is always more, because obviously anytime you're doing anything that's extra labor is always more money. That's just what it is. The regular cut usually like what, $5.99, $6.99, depends on where you go. And then the slice ones usually like $7.99, $7.49, all depends. But this is the tip about oxtail. It doesn't matter if you buy your oxtail from a mom and pop shop or you buy it from like a major market. It's the same oxtail, because oxtail does not have a grade. So you're not gonna see USDA grade oxtail. It's just not graded. So you don't have to worry about, well, I have to buy my oxtail from this major supermarket because this supermarket oxtail is better. No, all oxtail is the same. It's just some oxtail might come fresh, some might come frozen, but there's not a grade on oxtail to say, hey, this oxtail is going to be better because it's from here. No, it's all the same. There's no grade. So you're just, at this point, you're just paying the higher price because something you think in your mind. But all oxtail, regardless of the supermarket is from, same grade, because there's no grade in oxtail. All oxtail is pretty much the same. There's no grade on it, unless now if you're talking about like a grass-fed cow, and that's a whole nother story. But just regular beef oxtail, it's not going to be no grade in there. So you really don't have to really worry about saying, well, I'm going to make sure I get the one from here because their oxtail will be better. No, it's pretty much it's going to be the same oxtail. Okay, so pretty much that's the way it is. And if you want to make it more, you could always like cut it again. See, Because at this point, you'll be able to see all the meat, so you could double it. But we're gonna go through. We're gonna do a little bit more pairing. See, that's the fat we got off of it. Even though they said they trimmed it, but once again, more fat mean more weight, more money for the stores. So they're never gonna clean it all the way. They're just gonna clean it enough for you, where you look at it, you see that there's fat till you reach home. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. And yeah, so that's it. And you know, you want to cook these for a very long time. So it's gonna take a very long time to cook them because it's hard. But once again, if you get them sliced like this, it will cook quicker because obviously the heat will be able to go through versus if it's the whole oxtail. Pretty much the whole oxtail is usually like this thick, which I'm gonna do a video with. I think I did a video on that already, how to cut the whole one. So that's how the whole one would look, like this. All right, so but it's supposed to get them sliced down the middle. But when you go to the store, a lot of times when they already cut like this, your butcher is not going to cut them again because that's very dangerous. So it's always best to tell them to cut them, slice them before they start cutting them in the process. Because to hold these in the machines and to cut them, very dangerous. You can also lose your hand, and you know, nobody want that. You know, the customers really don't care if you cut your hand off, as long as they get what they want. You know, that's just the honest truth. So, you know, a lot of times you tell people, hey, you know, I can't cut, it's too dangerous. Why? My hand, okay, well, you could cut it because people are selfish. So always keep that in mind. Always protect yourself because, you know, the machine is never going to lose. It's a machine. So you want to keep that in mind when you're cutting out a customer. Always just tell them what you want ahead of time so that way they could have it ready for you. So when you get there, there's no confusion. Okay, I have another piece. Okay, here you go. All right, so once again, this is the tail. This is the tail half. Pretty much that's what the tail half. This is like the end. So pretty much the big part is closer to the back of the cow, and this is just a tail. So pretty much it's a cow tail. So if you didn't know, it's literally a cow tail. That's all it is. The tail from the cow. So a lot of people always think it's an ox. It's not an ox. It's literally like a regular cow. That's literally what it is. A regular cow. So you want to cut them. As I said, look right here. You can kind of tell where to cut by this little line right here. See? Once you kind of figure out that little line, you could kind of just cut it. And this is a really good braise. You could braise this. Put this with some kidney beans. And usually want to boil it for at least about 45 minutes to an hour. And just by you doing that, that will kind of let you know. And then if you go back and test it after that, and is it soft enough? Is it tender? So then you can kind of know how much more you need to do. And pretty much, this is the fat from the oxtail. All depends. Sometimes you might get more fat, less fat. All depends on the person that cut it for you. But pretty much that's kind of how it looks. Just want to give you a different look on beef oxtails. See, it's always going to be extra fat, so you just want to go, because you don't want to make sure when you do your gravy, you don't want your gravy to be greasy. So you don't want your gravy to be greasy. So you want to go in and clean out as much fat as possible. Fat. Go back in there and go back in and take some more fat out. Always use a sharp knife, because when you use a sharp knife, you're never gonna cut yourself. I promise you that, because wherever you're trying to cut, it's gonna cut it. The first time is when you have a dull knife. You're pushing, and the knife slip. But if the knife is sharp, whatever you're trying to cut, usually cut it the first time, and usually have no problems. And so, yeah, so it's a very popular dish in like Caribbean restaurants, and wherever you go nowadays, everybody is on the oxtail train. So hey, just go try it. It's really good. You can use it for soup. So I mean, it's really good in soup. So I mean, but once again, it's very expensive. So it's not good. It's not going to be like, the cheapest I've ever seen it, if you're lucky, you catch it on sale, $4.99 a pound. If you're lucky, and it was $4.99 a pound, they're not going to trim all the fat of it. At that point, they're going to leave as much fat as possible, because they're losing when they put it for $4.99 a pound. So, you know, you always want to make sure you I would try to look for like a supermarket that has it on sale. Like I said, all the grade is the same. You don't have to worry about, you know, well, this guy has a better grade. Unless they're selling grass-fed oxtail, everything else is the same. So just want to show you a quick tip. And as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment, and have a wonderful day.